Welcome to the gold standard, Making Millions with Malia, the place to be for conscious CEOs and light leaders who know that they have an enormous mission that requires millions to fuel it. I am your host, Jennifer Longmore, Clear Channel for Mother Malia, along with being a long-standing 8-figure CEO, investor, and board advisor who is committed to creating as many conscious millionaires as I can in this lifetime, and to debunk the broke healer paradigm that tells you it is not benevolent to make millions doing spirit-led work. We are in the midst of individual and collective ascension, and as we ascend, so must the way that we do business and money as light leaders. That is what this show is all about. So tune in now and find out why we are ranked in the top 5% of global podcasts and why savvy CEOs just like you binge our show each week and share it as a high-value resource with their communities. Now let's dive into today's Making Millions broadcast. Hello and welcome back to the Gold Standard Podcast with Mother Malia. I am your host, of course, and today we are going to dive back into what I will call our trauma series. And if this is your first time listening to this, I will invite you to create a sacred space for you to listen to this because we never know what it is going to bring up, of course, and I would love for you to feel secure as you can as you listen to this. And so today we are going to dive into how to turn being raised by a controlling parent into gold. So control can look a lot of different ways. And I can share this from the place of having worked in forensics for many years, investigating crimes against children. And that is why I am so trauma-informed, aside from, of course, being a clear channel and being able to see the cause and effect of how trauma might be playing out in your life. And so control can look like a lot of different things. For example, I remember many children being raised by parents who will send a message. They might throw something against the wall near them to say, to imply, I shall say, next time this could be you. Or they will talk about what they could do to you, or they will threaten for you to go and choose the implement for you to be physically abused with. They might have a lot of rigidity around what time you shall wake, what time you shall eat, what you shall wear, etc., etc. They might control you by turning you into the family scapegoat. They might turn your siblings or other family members against you. They might serve you last at the dinner table, for example. They might control you through the silent treatment for days on end. They might control you through hypercriticism. They might control you by being what, of course, is referred to as being a helicopter parent. So control is control. And although the way that it may have played out will be different for each of us, the impact can still be relatively the same, which is that when you are so oppressed, you will find in business, for example, and this is what we will do, by the way, we are relating it all now to how does this play out in making millions in your business? Well, if you don't ever know what you are doing that is upsetting people, then that can have a great impact because you are always bracing for being wrong. It could be that you avoid systems and structure because you associate systems and structure with the actual rigidity that you were raised in. And so the very systems and structures that actually will help you make more money, you avoid because of the misidentified relationship that you may have with them. You may also push and pull with client attraction because If you are always at risk of being criticized, of being made wrong, just for breathing, just for speaking, just for, smiling or laughing and being human, frankly, then you never know what it is you're going to do wrong. And so, why will you invite new people into your life? Naturally, you won't, because you will be in self-preservation. And unconsciously, if everyone is a potential threat to your psyche, to your well-being, to your mental health, to your sense of self, then it actually is great risk to allow people in as long as the trauma is being, I shall say, poked at, for lack of a better way of putting it, when we're in business. And that, as you know, is what business does. It will poke at these various wounds that are asking to be healed, because, of course, business is business. It just so happens that business kicks up the issues in your tissues, and whether or not it is a business or something else, those wounds are still there asking to be healed, asking to be transmuted. And so it just so happens that when we have a business, our next level is often tied to dealing with the trauma. And in fact, each time we create a decision to have an income leap, we will find that if it is unresolved, it will rise to the surface. So, when we are being raised by a controlling parent that uses one of those different mechanisms, as I shared, we are always bracing. We are in hypervigilance. Who is out to get me? Who is going to reject me for seemingly no reason? Who is going to banish me from my pack, from my herd, from my flock, for no apparent reason? You will be in hypervigilance, and that hypervigilance will take a toll on your nervous system. And then, because your nervous system is taxed, although you may be able to receive money, it actually becomes more challenging to hold it, because it also becomes more challenging to be present in the body. You see, you will be hypervigilant, and you will be tr well, also trying to control, of course, through your hypervigilance. Now, that, of course, is not a judgment. That is simply what happens. And so you will always be on guard. And you see, when you are on guard, that also makes it challenging for people to lean into your spaces, because they feel the wall. Now, you may or may not know that wall is there. And of course, you are likely in the business of wishing to help people. And so you genuinely do on a conscious level. It is that your wounds are naturally going to go into self-preservation, which then also creates another secondary snafu, which is that when you are selling self-actualization, but you are operating a good chunk of the time from self-preservation, it actually makes it much more challenging, not impossible, of course, but it makes it much more challenging. You will find that you feel like you have to market more, have to convince more, etc., when filling your offers, because you are bracing for that. You are working against the your own wall that you put up. Another thing, as I mentioned, when you are raised by someone that is very controlling, especially if they were very militant, and it could even be a military parent or someone that is the byproduct, or let's say second generation of a military parent. What you will find in your business is that you will judge yourself, because how come I can't lead myself? But there's a part of you that is still waiting for permission, is waiting to be dismissed, so to speak, is waiting to be told to rise and stand at attention, so to speak. And so, as long as that programming is there, as you can see, it can create a lot of, wobbles, I will say, in your company. Now, of course, it is not impossible, because these are the very things often that allow us to be very successful. Your fear, for example, of being hypercriticized can actually allow you to get to seven figures, because you are trying to prove, you see, you are trying to prove your worth. You don't know what it is that you need to prove, meaning you don't know what it is you have done wrong. But it is not, I'm saying, a healthy way, of course, but many, many people have built successful businesses off of the heels of needing approval, needing validation, needing to be celebrated or to be acknowledged. Or, for example, if you will come home with a 98% on a test, you might have a parent that says, "Where's the other 2%?" And so it will create a drive in you a lot of times that allows you to be successful. But of course, that success comes at a cost and usually burns out your adrenals. So I share this with you because I'm really trying to highlight throughout this various series about the different ways that trauma can play out and how you make money how you attract clients, etc. So, for example, it will determine the kinds of clients that knock on your door. It will determine how clients interact with you once they are in the door, once they are in your home, so to speak. It will determine the speed in which you can receive money and also your ability to hold the money that you have received. And each different trauma can play out different ways, of course. So I'm sharing this with you so that you can start to connect the dots about, okay, maybe me making myself wrong for these various results is not actually serving me. And additionally, as you know, we can throw money at the wrong problem. So we can think, oh, it is just a marketing issue. So I will just spend way more money on ads or way more money on, creating another funnel, et cetera, et cetera. And it is not, of course, that those things are not valuable if they feel aligned. It is that if we are throwing money at the wrong problem, then of course it never resolves itself. And this is especially true when things that used to work for you in your company simply stop working no matter what you do, especially when you are doing the things that used to work very well. And alternately, when you know in your bones, I will say, that client attraction or filling an offer or filling an event or something along those lines shall be much easier than it has been. And you see it time and time again with others around you that it seems to be happening with great ease. Now, of course, as you know, that doesn't mean it is true. Some people can misrepresent, of course, the results, but let's assume on face value that you are feeling that you are looking around and everyone is having an easier time than you and you are doing all of the things that you know are important, it is fair to assume that it could be trauma. And as you heard me share, having worked in forensics, I got to see a lot of patterns. And so this is also what I see in 20 years of running a company and coaching thousands of entrepreneurs like you, is that there are certain patterns, there are certain ways that you were raised that will absolutely, I will never be surprised, I suppose, is what I am trying to say by your current frustrations in business and how it relates to how you were raised. It is almost scientific, if you will say, it is quite remarkable actually to see how it plays out in certain ways. And so I could put a room, for example, of 100 people in a room that all have been raised by a very controlling parent. And I will say 95% of them will report the same ways that it plays out in business, for example, the same frustrations. Isn't that remarkable? So, if you have been doing all of the things, or maybe you were aware that you have some traumas and you feel like I would like to be in a non-judgmental space with someone that can just hold me through this and very quickly, easily transmute this for me without me having to do more, without, needing to relive everything, just to move through it and to create a different foundation for which to thrive in your next level, then you are welcome to reach out to me either on the social media channels that you may be connected with me on, or to email clientcare@souljourneys.ca. And someone from my team will support you, and we can chat about ways that I can support you in moving through that. So if this was helpful for you today, I would love to hear how it served you. I will also love it if you can share it with people that you feel will benefit. If you are not aware, I am on a mission to have as many light leaders as possible, fully activated into their highest ascension point, thriving in their business, in part just because it is nice to just be, and to be thriving, but also because I know that you will like to have a lot of financial overflow to also support the spreading of your mission so that we can help way more people, so that we can reclaim our planet and so on. So the more that we can unhook from trauma, keeping in mind that we are all products of trauma because we are living in one big trauma, so to speak, on this planet. That is not to say that this planet is not wonderful. Of course, there are many wonderful things, and that is why we will wish to reclaim it from the controllers, right? But we do know that the controllers wreak a lot of havoc, and by way of their inverted system and their distortions, and the savior suffering sacrifice paradigm that they create, it is no wonder that we are raised by people in trauma and they were raised by people in trauma, etc. So it is not to explain or justify, I shall say, how you were treated. It is to simply say that it is not a surprise. And so at some point, We get to be the ones that break that long lineage of trauma that gets perpetuated from generation to generation. And in the new earth that we are moving into, there simply will be no trauma. It will form, and it of course is forming, but the foundation of it is formed in pure benevolence and in pure neutrality, which of course, as you know, is the energy that I am embodying now. So as we ascend, it simply becomes almost, I will say, non-negotiable to deal with this, because our ascension, I shall say, is dependent upon our individual and collective, is dependent upon being able to return to neutrality and to be able to turn these into gold. So back to this, I will say one more thing, that the same hypervigilance that allowed you to make a certain amount of gold, this wisdom I have now shared with you can turn into gold, because now you can alchemize it into wisdom. You can now perhaps help your clients differently. You can now go after, let's say, opportunities, or let's say be bolder, I shall say. The feeling of being bolder, of course, because there's no real such thing, but bravery, courage, boldness, whatever you will say, to go after what you desire simply because you can. This is actually going to allow far more to flow to you, because now, instead of bracing for whatever that control mechanism might look like, you now get to lean into the polarity of this, which is sovereignty. And that is the goal for ascension anyways. So I hope this served, and I will look forward to seeing you on the next episode. I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you soon.
Thanks for listening. Before you go, if you would like to have a chance to have your name and business featured on the Gold Standard podcast, hop on over to where you listen to this podcast and leave a review. If you're selected, you'll have your name and business featured on our show. And in the meantime, we wish you tons of financial blessings, and we'll see you soon for the next Making Millions transmission from Mother Malia.